Hello students, welcome to Boundless Maths, your trusted space for both maths and science. In today's video, we are going to cover the life process transportation in plants. In the previous videos, we have already talked about nutrition, respiration and transportation in animals. So today we are going to talk about transportation in plants. So in nutrition, we talked about autotrophic, heterotrophic nutrition. Then we talked about the steps involved in the photosynthesis process, and then we talked about nutrition in unicellular organisms, followed by the human digestive system, where we talk about the entire nutrition process in one go like a story. I hope you have narrated the story to your friends or to your parents and done a quick recap of the entire nutrition process in one go, just like a story, right? Next, after this we had a look at the respiration in the next video, second video. So we talked about the three pathways, how glucose gets broken down, the ATP-ADP cycle, then the respiratory system in humans and difference between breathing and respiration. We also talked about respiration in plants. Thereafter, in the third video, we talked about transportation system. What is transportation system and why do we need it? So we looked at the differences between arteries and veins and the entire transportation process in human beings. So I hope you have revised this thoroughly. You have drawn this diagram wherein blood comes into the heart through the veins and goes out through the arteries. Yes? So next we even had a look at the various reasoning questions related to the heart, ventricles, heart valves and all the reasoning questions related to the transport system. We also talked about blood pressure, systole and diastole. What is systole, what is diastole? All that is in reference to ventricular systole and diastole. Then we looked at the difference between lymph and blood. Now finally we start with transportation in plants in this video. So plants, they also have their own energy needs. Even though they don't need too much of energy, they are immobile, they are stagnant at one place, they don't have to move from one place to the other, but still there are lots of internal movements taking place in the plants. So that's why they also need a lot of energy. There are lots of growth, repair, maintenance processes taking place in all the cells of the plant. So even though they do not move, they have large proportion of dead cells, but still plants have certain specialized tissues for transportation of substances. Now what are the substances that really need to be transported in plants? The first one is water. From the roots to all parts of the plant, water has to be transported. After the leaves prepare food using the process of photosynthesis, the prepared food also has to be transported to different parts where it is stored in the form of edible food, right? So first we look at transport of water, how the transport of water works in plants. So if we look at transport of water, it is a process that is initiated by physical forces. What are the two physical forces involved? The first is the root pressure and the second is the transpiration pull. Now what is root pressure? It is one of the major cause of transport of water during night and otherwise also when water moves into the roots through the process of osmosis. There is difference in the concentration of ions within the roots, inside the roots and the soil. So that creates a pressure in the root to suck in more and more water, right? And in the leaves, because of stomatal pores that are open during the day, transpiration keeps on happening. So because of transpiration pull, a suction kind of pull gets created in the stem, that is in the center of the stem, which through xylem tissue. So xylem is located in the center of the lumen of the stem. So the root pressure is there from the soil towards the root hair, towards the roots, and transpiration pull is from leaves to the air. So these two physical forces actually help in pulling up water from the roots to the leaves, right? Now let's look at transportation of food and other substances. This transportation takes place in phloem. So phloem is it is at the periphery. Phloem cells are at the periphery of the stem. Xylem is in the center. It's like a fountain. Water is going up from the center of the fountain. So it is xylem in the center that takes water and minerals upwards, and the phloem is towards the outer periphery of the stem of the cortex, where the food particles are transported, or the food prepared by the plant is transported and stored in various parts of the plant. So the process of transport of food from leaves to different parts of the plant is called translocation. This is a very important keyword. You should know what is translocation. Now it is an active process that utilizes energy. What energy? Energy is stored in the form of ATP here. So this is an active process that breaks down one ATP to release how much? You remember how much energy is released by one molecule of ATP? 30.5 kilojoules. Wonderful. So 30.5 kilojoules of energy is released by breaking down just one molecule of ATP. So this energy is utilized to initiate or to trigger the transport of food that has been prepared by the leaf. Now the phloem transports the soluble products of photosynthesis, amino acids and other substances from the leaves to the storage parts or other growing parts of the plant. So this transportation takes place in both the directions. It's quite possible that the leaves in the lower part of the plant, they are also preparing food, but it is being stored higher up in the tree, in the fruit, or maybe in the flower. So the transportation of food is a two-way process, whereas transportation of water was a one-way process from roots to top. Now materials like sucrose. So something like sucrose, it is a form of carbohydrates that is prepared by the plant. This is transferred into the phloem tissue by consuming ATP. The food in the form of sucrose is transferred to the phloem tube. This is a phloem tube, right? Now when the phloem tube gets that sucrose, the concentration of the fluid inside the phloem tube increases. So this takes in water from the surrounding xylem cells through the process of osmosis, and this swells up. So it increases the osmotic pressure of the tissue and water moves in from the neighboring xylem cells. Now when the water has moved into the phloem cells, this pressure helps in moving the material in the phloem to areas of low pressure, because now the fluid inside the phloem cell has very high pressure, and it makes it easier for these materials to get moved or transported to various parts of the plant where there is low pressure. So in those low pressure areas, the movement of material happens as per the need of different parts of the plant. So this is the sink. Sink could be any edible part of the plant where it has to be eventually stored. So the source is the leaf and the sink is the fruit or the edible part of the plant where the sucrose is finally stored. Now what are the differences between the two processes? Transport of water is unidirectional from roots to the top, right? It is taken care of by the xylem tissue, which is in the central part of the cortex. Now the physical forces, that is root pressure and transpiration pull, they are the cause, they are the two physical forces that help in transportation of water, right? Now transport of food prepared by the plant. This is an active process that involves utilization of ATP to initiate the process. This is a passive process. It does not need ATP. It is initiated by the physical forces. The two physical forces are root pressure and transpiration pull. Whereas transport of food or the products of photosynthesis is an active process. It involves using of ATP to initiate or to trigger the process of transportation. It is a bidirectional process and it is taken care of by the phloem. So I hope it's clear whatever we talked about transportation of water and food in plants. So basically there are just two processes. You should be able to differentiate between them and understand what are the basic terms used here, like translocation or what is an active process or which of these has what features. So I hope you understood this. If you like the content of the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Do share it with your friends and subscribe to Boundless Maths to keep getting notifications for the new upcoming videos. Also, if you want a copy of your class 10 science notes, you can visit the website www.boundlessmaths.com. So in the next video, we are going to cover the last life process of this chapter, that is excretion. So till then, stay tuned, keep learning, keep growing. See you. Thank you. अरे यार मूव करना, हैंग हो गया।